Dr. Jaffe, are there any foods you think everyone is better off avoiding, or maybe any you think everyone should consume lots of?
There's a question often asked, are there some things that everybody should eat? Are there some things that nobody should eat? Let me start with the everybody. So let me start with the good news. The good news is that nature's pharmacy provides detoxifying foods. And we make it easy to remember with the initial or the first letter of each of these. GGOBE is the acronym, and that stands for garlic and ginger and onions and brassica sprouts. Now that's broccoli sprouts. Now all sprouts are fine, but broccoli sprouts are better. And eggs. One or more should be a staple in your diet, says Thomas Jefferson, says Lucretius, says the Jewish Talmud, says Ibn Arabi, a very famous Islamic scholar. So these foods are not just condiments to be had occasionally a little bit. These are staples of my diet and of those who choose a high quality, healthier diet in the 21st century, when we do have more toxins bathing our body, getting into our body, and therefore that our body has to remove. Now, what about the other side? Are there foods that nobody should eat? Well, the classic maxim is one person's meat is another person's poison. And that was the famous Lucretius, a philosopher from a long time ago. And he was pointing out even then that some people had delayed or immune reactions, what we today would call delayed hypersensitivities, and other people were quite agnostic. They could digest those different foods. So digestion is different from person to person, and we want foods that you can digest, that you can assimilate, that you can eliminate, and without immune burden. Then we want foods that help us digest. This includes high fiber, high probiotic bacteria, recycled glutamine, either as supplements or in the diet. And are there some foods that nobody should eat? Yes. There are foods that have a very long shelf life because they're highly processed and they have so many preservatives that if you eat a lot of those foods, I've been told by morticians that they will need less embalming fluid if you're embalmed. I don't want you to be pre-embalmed because of preservatives that allow a piece of sponge cake to stay on a shelf for 7 to 10 years, I'm told. Not that I would know this stuff, of course. So highly processed foods, to me, should be avoided and excluded to the extent that you can. And by the way, at times when my children or I were very, very hungry and we were driving on a road and the only thing available was, you know, some French fries and a piece of fish or something, that's what we ate because hunger is a very powerful human force. However, much hunger comes because you need nutrients you're not getting, and you won't be satisfied if the foods you eat satisfy your palate because they're rich in sugar and in salt and in high in protein and high in fat. They'll satisfy your tongue, but not your brain. And by the way, you have a brain in your gut that's as smart as the brain in your head. So you want to eat foods that you can digest, assimilate, and eliminate without immune burden, and you want them to be as whole as possible from the healthiest possible sources. In my home, it's biodynamic, organic, homegrown, or community-supported agriculture, CSA. And by the way, today we have lots of choices. I've been doing this for decades. When I came as a skeptic, but once I decided that we really needed to use nature, nurture, and wholeness, that we really needed to have foods we could be proud to put in our body, that would make us feel and function better, would help get the toxins out and the good stuff in sufficient amounts. And once I realized that, we did a makeover of our kitchen. And we now obtain our foods from different places. And yes, you can go to Whole Foods or similar markets. You can go to community markets. You can have a CSA where you pick up a big box of food once or so a week and rely that somebody cared about the source, about the farmer, about the soil, about the seed, about the food, because all of that contributes to the quality of what you put in your body. So I think you should eat detoxifying foods as staples, and I think you should avoid foods to the extent that they are more processed. Leave them on the shelf.